in my own experience, when I came on, you know, as I said, I'd spent a year in Boston hanging around cops and criminals, and I'd heard a lot of good trial stories and a lot of good crime stories. And sometimes we would, you know, make one up like sometimes we would take an issue and look for the story that fit the issue. Like we wanted to do a gun story. But Brady's widow was going around at that time talking about, you know, or gun control, and we couldn't find really a gun control story. But we thought of, what about a story of just an ordinary person just shooting somebody, and but the person's trying to rob them, and the person's a worse person than they are, because they're a robber. They're not coming into the store to sing them happy birthday or something. But the person actually kills them because there's an element of vengeance. They've been robbed before, and there's an element of anger in that. And they have a gun, and so a person who's not a killer, because they have the gun and they're able to, they kill the person. And should they be tried or not tried? Are they truly guilty or are they not guilty? So we found, you know, we knew we wanted to do something like that. And then somebody remembered reading something in Santa Monica, California, that had happened where a guy had one of those stores where, I don't know if they have these anymore, but I don't know if you remember, where you opened a door and then you were in like a little locker area, and then they opened a second door and you came in to the store. And I think it was I can't remember, it was a jewelry store or a pawn shop or what it was. And he trapped the guy in the
vestibule area.
In the vestibule area, and shot him, and then dragged him out in the street. You know, like he'd been shot and run out. And I think that guy was acquitted, actually. So, you know, we thought, well, this is an interesting thing to explore. As we didn't know, actually, as it turned out, that show was very controversial. We got tons of letters, and people were outraged that I think we found him guilty, you know. We must have, yeah, because there was, you know, indignation. And we could also, by doing things like that, by doing things that had an issue, we could draw out in our characters, you know, aspects of their personality, rather than just by the book, how do we convict, you know, or how do we defend, how do we get around this, how do we get around that. The cops in that case, Sorvino was, I think, we put Sorvino and Chris Noth on opposite sides of the story. And then we started doing that more and more. And then we decided to really give them, because Dick had said, I don't want people to know how these characters vote or who they would vote for. But he came around a bit, like I said, we got this, I can't remember the actor's name who played the black guy on that show, but we made him a conservative. And so we kind of violated the traditions, you know, what you would expect. And it worked really well, you know. I mean, not every episode, obviously. I mean, we didn't write to bring that out in every episode, which I think was the trap of doing that, you know. But when it could emerge organically as part of the story, you know, he would take a conservative position. You'd suddenly go, oh, this black guy's a conservative. You know, it's kind of strange. And of course, in those days, you know, it was not like it is now. You know, it wasn't as strange as it would be today. But it was a really interesting show and a challenging show. I really liked it.